All right, today we're cracking open the Entrepreneur's Playbook. We're going to draw on the wisdom of some absolute business legends to map out that crucial journey. The one from being a skilled worker to becoming a true strategic leader. It's all about shifting from just doing the work to actually building a company that can thrive on its own.
Okay, let's just dive right into the heart of the problem that trips up so many new entrepreneurs. Michael Gerber, he calls it the entrepreneurial seizure. And you've seen it, right? It's that exact moment a talented baker or a great graphic designer or a whiz mechanic thinks, hey, I'm really good at my craft, so I should start my own business doing it.
And yeah, this single assumption, this one idea that being good at the technical skill means you'll be good at the business, well, that is the most dangerous trap you can fall into. It's honestly the root cause behind countless broken dreams and empty storefronts. So that brings us right to our first big idea, the fatal assumption. Let's call it the technician's trap. It's this fundamental misunderstanding that being good at something is the same as being good at the business of that thing. They are two totally different worlds. Think about it. That technician who absolutely loves baking pies starts a pie shop, but they quickly find out they're not just a baker anymore. Oh no. Now they have to be an accountant, a marketer, a manager, a janitor, you name it. They thought they were getting rid of their boss, but what they really did was create the worst boss imaginable for themselves. And the saddest part? They end up hating the very thing they once loved to do. Okay, so if that fatal assumption is the problem, what's the solution? How do you avoid that trap? Well, you have to get out of the building. And what that means is you stop guessing, you stop building things in a vacuum, and you start searching for a real, viable business model. And this is a super important point. A startup isn't just a tiny version of a big company. Not at all. You should think of it as a temporary organization that exists for only one reason: to search for a business model that you can scale and repeat. Until you find that, your brilliant idea, it's really just a bunch of guesses you haven't tested. This is a huge shift in thinking. The old way was to lock yourself in a room and write this massive, static business plan, filled with all those untested guesses we just talked about. The modern way, championed by guys like Steve Blank, is to use a dynamic business model canvas. The best way to think about it is like a scorecard for all your hypotheses, your best guesses about your customers, your product, your market, everything. And your number one tool in this search is the minimum viable product, or the MVP. Now, this is crucial. An MVP is not a smaller, cheaper version of your final product. It's the fastest, most efficient way you can start learning from real customers. It's designed to answer the big questions. Is the problem you think they have even real? Is your solution something they would actually pay for or use? This all comes together in a simple but really powerful process called customer discovery. So first, you write down your guesses, your hypotheses. Then you get out of the building, whether that's physically or online, and you actually talk to customers to see if the problem is real. Next, you test your solution with that MVP. And then, based on real data, you make a decision. Do you pivot and change direction, or do you proceed because you're on the right track? This whole cycle is the foundation of building something people actually want. Okay, so let's say you've done it. You've validated a customer problem and you have a solution they want. Awesome. But guess what? There's another trap waiting right around the corner. It's the trap of building a business that is completely and totally dependent on you. A business that just can't function without you right in the middle of everything. At first, you are the technician. It's you. You're the one baking the pies, designing the logos, fixing the cars. You are doing all of that hands-on work. Then, as you start to grow, you become the manager. You're not doing as much of the work, but now you're overseeing other technicians. You're juggling schedules. You're putting out fires all day long. Now, this feels like progress, right? But it's still a trap. The real leap, the transformation that changes the entire game, is becoming the entrepreneur. The entrepreneur doesn't do the work or even manage the people doing the work. The entrepreneur designs a system, a machine, that can run perfectly without them even being there. I mean, the classic example of this mindset has to be Ray Kroc. He didn't invent the hamburger. He didn't even invent fast food. He just saw what the McDonald brothers were doing in their single restaurant, and he didn't see a burger stand. He saw a prototype for a perfect, replicable business system that could be stamped out all over the world. This is the mental shift you have to make. You start asking completely different questions. Questions like these. How can this whole thing run without me? How can I systematize it? You stop thinking of your product as the hamburger or the website design.
Your real product becomes the business itself, the system that delivers that amazing result perfectly every single time. So, you've built a system. You've built the machine. But how do you make sure it lasts in a market that's just packed with competitors? Well, the next play in the book isn't about winning the game. It's about changing the game completely. It's about moving from competition to monopoly. Now, this is a provocative question, isn't it? It comes from Peter Thiel's book 0 to 1, and it challenges a core belief of how we think about capitalism. He basically argues that our obsession with competition is a destructive trap. Why? Because it just forces businesses to become more and more like each other, endlessly battling over tiny scraps of profit until all the real value is gone. So the goal, according to Thiel, is not to just be a little bit better than your competitor. The goal is to become a monopoly. Now hold on, we're not talking about the illegal, bully your way to the top kind of monopoly. We're talking about a creative monopoly, becoming so uniquely good at what you do that no other company can offer a close substitute. The goal is to be the only one. And you don't do this by trying to take on Google on day one. No way. True monopolies are built by starting incredibly small. Find a tiny, specific niche market and just completely dominate it. Become the undisputed, absolute best solution for that small group of people. And only then, once you own that niche, do you start to methodically expand into markets that are right next door. But let's be real for a second. This whole journey, from technician to system builder to monopolist, it isn't some smooth, easy ride. Not at all. It is defined by painful, gut-wrenching challenges. Ben Horowitz just nails this. He reminds us that there are no easy answers, no secret formulas for those moments of intense pressure and, honestly, existential dread that every single founder faces. He calls it the struggle. It's when you have to make those impossible decisions, when you feel completely and utterly alone, and when your own mind starts to feel like your worst enemy. There's no magic bullet for the struggle, but there is some essential advice for surviving it. You have to be brutally honest with your team. You can't let failure become your identity, because every leader makes tons of mistakes. And maybe most importantly, you have to understand that getting through this very challenge is what forges great leaders and great companies. And that, right there, is the ultimate takeaway from this whole playbook. Success isn't just about having the right ideas or building the right systems. It's really about cultivating the mindset and the resilience to endure the inevitable struggle that comes with trying to build something new in the world. Because that is what truly separates the great from the good.